The office party was in full swing. Lights sparkling across the sleek space, music humming softly through the speakers, laughter bouncing off the walls. Clusters of employees mingled, drinks in hand, sharing jokes, trying to appear effortlessly relaxed. I moved through the crowd, shaking hands, offering polite smiles, while keeping a careful watch on my wife. She had been unusually quiet tonight, her smile tight, her laughter forced. The tension was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it lingered in the air like a storm waiting to break. Then it happened. Her boss approached, tall and self-assured, a grin tugging at the corners of his mouth. Part arrogance, part condescension. He leaned slightly, his voice carrying across the group of colleagues nearby. "So, this is your husband?" Honestly, I didn't expect someone so ordinary. The words were sharp, designed to wound. I felt the laughter ripple through the nearby crowd as a few co-workers exchanged amused glances, clearly enjoying the jab. At first, I let it wash over me. My expression stayed neutral, movements calm. I raised my glass politely, nodded, letting the comment hang in the air like a challenge. Inside, though, my mind was already working, calculating exactly how I would respond. His smirk, his arrogance, his lack of awareness, it all set the stage perfectly. The room was poised for his mockery, yet he had no idea the roles were about to reverse. I stepped forward slowly, deliberately, letting my presence draw attention without a single word. Every eye in the room shifted, curiosity replacing laughter. My wife, sensing the change, turned to look at me, confusion flickering across her face. The boss's grin wavered, unaware of the storm quietly approaching. I didn't need theatrics. I didn't need to shout. Calm authority carried more weight than anger ever could. I met his gaze steadily, the room falling into hushed anticipation. "Funny," I said, calm and precise, "because I own this company." The words landed like a hammer. Time seemed to pause for a split second. His grin evaporated instantly, the confident air around him gone. Laughter died in mid-throat. Conversations froze. Everyone present realized the man they had assumed powerless was, in fact, the very source of authority they had mocked. Color drained from his face as the truth hit. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, struggling to form a response. He had humiliated someone he thought powerless, only to discover he had made a fatal error. The power shift was immediate and irreversible. I didn't need to argue. The truth alone had dismantled his facade and silenced the room. Murmurs began quietly, then spread as understanding rippled through the crowd. Colleagues exchanged wide-eyed glances, whispering behind cupped hands, awe and shock replacing laughter. My wife's expression shifted from confusion to astonishment and pride. She had never seen me assert authority so calmly and effectively. The room was captivated, witnessing a private victory turn public spectacle. He attempted to recover, stammering out a weak explanation, but it fell flat. His words were hollow, meaningless, undermined entirely by who I was. Every glance, every gesture reinforced his defeat. I stood quietly, letting the silence carry the weight of judgment, allowing the room to absorb the magnitude of what had just happened. His arrogance had been spectacularly dismantled, and I hadn't raised my voice once. I felt the energy in the room shift. Guests who had silently sided with his confidence now looked at him with disbelief and newfound respect for me. The dynamic had changed completely. I had reclaimed authority, not through confrontation, but through calm, deliberate revelation. The power had returned to its rightful place, leaving him exposed, humiliated, and fully aware of his miscalculation. The boss slunk backward, shrinking under the invisible weight of his error. My composure had done all the work. The shock in his eyes was proof enough. His attempt to humiliate me had backfired completely. The laughter he expected had vanished, replaced with stunned silence, awkward glances, and whispers of recognition that spread through the room like wildfire. By the night's end, the story of his humiliation had quietly traveled through the office. Everyone who witnessed it felt the shift in energy. Every conversation inevitably returned to the moment he underestimated me. The lesson was clear. Arrogance without awareness is dangerous, and control isn't always about who speaks the loudest. Sometimes it's about who commands a room with quiet authority. I glance at my wife. Relief in us soften her features. I realize something essential about power, control, and timing. True authority doesn't need to be loud or aggressive. Sometimes, the quiet revelation of truth is far more devastating than any shout. That night, I had reminded everyone, her boss included, exactly who was in control, calm, composed, and utterly unshakable.